Hi, this is Jody Zollman, and I'm going to go over the weather for that started Sunday, March 23rd, and went through the week until the March 28th. Um, we're going to look at 4 sites, and we're going to start out with Anchorage. Beginning Sunday, March 23rd, it is evident that daily and nightly temperatures in the Anchorage area were consistently higher than average. On Sunday, the barometric pressure dropped dramatically from 1033 millibars to 1006 millibars, rising slightly by the end of the week. Winds were relatively low and came predominantly from the north. There was no precipitation. Wasilla experienced temperatures between their average and their average high for this week. They experienced the same drop in pressure that Anchorage did, but were considerably windier with winds coming predominantly from the east. There was no precipitation. Fairbanks experienced temperatures that were above average for the year, even above the average highs for March. They too experienced a drop in air pressure from about 133 millibars on Sunday to 1013 millibars at week's end. It was somewhat breezy in Fairbanks with winds coming mostly from the east, and there was no precipitation. Kotzebue too benefited from the warmer air that the interior experienced with higher than average daily temperatures. They experienced a less dramatic drop in air pressure, going from 1036 millibars at the beginning of the week to 1009 Wednesday night, and rising to over 1006 millibars by Thursday night before dropping again at week's end. Kotzebue was relatively windy with gusts of over 20 miles per hour coming from the east. There was no precipitation. On Sunday, March 23rd, you can see there is cloud cover over most of Alaska. The air pressure is consistent over much of the state. There is a front moving toward the Gulf of Alaska from the south, and another low pressure system far to the west near Russia. Monday's forecast looked like much of the same. Persistent forecasting would be rather accurate using this information. There is high pressure in the far north and to the east of the state in Canada. Sunday's predictions for Tuesday looked pretty much the same. Low pressure far south of the Gulf of Alaska, creating some weather in the southeast. More lows in the west, moving eastward. Anchorage, Wasilla, Fairbanks, and Kotzebue are not looking like much is going on. On Tuesday, we get a good picture of the clouds and a mixed front moving toward the east out of the Pacific. There's a low pressure system turning in the Gulf of Alaska, which may be where some of the winds are coming from in the east in Anchorage and Wasilla. The interior experienced a definite drop in air pressure. On Wednesday, things have cleared up in the Gulf of Alaska, but the low pressure system that has been moving eastward from the west is arriving in western Alaska. Kotzebue experienced some cloud cover and low pressure. The interior was clear. This map shows the low pressure systems that affected northern Alaska. A high pressure system affected the Kotzebue area also, with winds turning towards the east and then rising again and heading north once it's off the coast. There's a low pressure system in the Brooks Range area with winds moving from the south, going up north and then returning to the south. Wednesday's forecast for Friday indicated much of the same general weather for Anchorage, Fairbanks, Wasilla, and Kotzebue. There was some fog to the west that affected Kotzebue, but overall pretty quiet for the other areas. For Friday, weather in the interior looked much the same with some cloud cover. There was some weather occurring south in the southeast, but not reaching up as far as Juneau and Haines and Sitka. There's a little bit of a low pressure system in the Gulf of Alaska moving from the south and then again towards the west. And then there's rain and fog far to the south and throughout the Aleutians. The front moving in from the west. Overall, temperatures throughout the state towards the end of March were usually unseasonably warm. We've had a very long and warm spring with a little bit of a wind, and the winds have tended to be warm.
and it's now leading into a dry spring. This trend may have made it easier to do weather forecasting because not a lot changed. I don't know that the weathermen expected it to be this warm for that time of year, but it was definitely welcome, and it has remained the same pretty much with continued warming since the end of March.